The morning sun barely touched the red bricks of Walter Thompson's modest Florida home when the sharp knock came. It was 7:02 a.m., and at 90 years old, Walter, a war veteran with a bronze star pinned to his past, was pouring coffee, his hand steady despite the tremor of age. The knock wasn't friendly, it was official, impatient. He adjusted his glasses, shuffled to the door, and opened it to a scene that felt like a betrayal of everything he'd fought for. 3 uniformed men stood there, 2 sheriff's deputies and a county officer, their faces blank. Behind them, a box truck idled, movers already stepping out with clipboards. "Mr. Thompson?" the taller deputy said, voice flat. "You're being evicted. Non-payment of HOA dues. You owe due law 312. Walter's brow furrowed. "There's a mistake," he said, his voice calm but confused. He'd always pay his HOA fees, utilities, even his newspaper subscription were on autopay. Had a letter slipped through? The deputy didn't budge. "We're here to enforce the order, sir." Walter's mouth opened, but words failed him. His mind raced to Law 312. His home, the one he built with his late wife, Anna, where every tree in the yard was planted by his hands, was slipping away over a sum smaller than a month's groceries. He stepped aside, gripping the doorknob as movers stormed in. One opened a cabinet without care, another folded the American flag from his study like it was laundry. Walter watched, silent, his eyes catching the framed photo of Anna on the mantel. This was where neighborhood kids once gathered to hear his war stories, not from books but from a man who lived them. Now, it was being dismantled. The movers worked fast, callous. A display case crashed to the floor, the glass cracking around Walter's bronze star. One mover glanced at it, stepped over, and kept going. Walter didn't flinch. He poured his cold coffee down the sink and sat on the curb, a cardboard box on his lap holding his life's fragments, medals, a Purple Heart, a cracked leather photo album, and letters from a military base, friends long gone. Across the street, a black SUV idled in the shade. Inside sat Harold Kessler, president of the Pine Grove HOA, watching through tinted windows. He stepped out, arms crossed, as a reporter approached. "Rules are rules," Kessler said, his tone cold, rehearsed. "No exceptions. That's fairness." He turned away, ignoring the reporter's follow-up about a veteran losing his home over pocket change. The EVY tie-in wasn't a mistake, it was calculated. Pine Grove's bylaws allowed a lien for unpaid dues, escalating to non-judicial foreclosure without a hearing. Walter had called the HOA twice about a late fee notice, confused because his autopay failed when his card expired. No one returned his calls. The board marked him non-responsive, and in 31 days his home was gone. Leaked emails later revealed Kessler's deal with a buyer, a holding company tied to his cousin planning to flip the house for 5 times the unpaid fee. Neighbors were too scared to act. The HOA's fines and threats kept them silent. One, 78-year-old Clara Evans, put up a "Justice for Walter" sign. By morning it was gone, and she got a due law 75 fine. Walter was moved to a veteran's shelter, a cot in a shared room, his belongings in a bin. He didn't complain, but VY-siders saw a stillness in his eyes, not anger, but the quiet shock of a man displaced by systems he'd outlasted in war but not in peace. The spark came from Rachel Harper, a freelance journalist who'd interviewed Walter years ago for a Veterans Day piece. She remembered his humility, not his medals. Seeing his EVY tie-in online, she found him outside the shelter, clutching a shoebox with his flag, medals, and reframed bronze star. She took one photo and posted it with a caption. "This is Walter Thompson, 90 EVY TED over due law 312. By midnight, it exploded, shared by veterans, celebrities, and millions. Hashtags like the Justice for Walter and the Not Like This fueled outrage. Talk shows debated HOA power, anchors spoke with rare GRAVY tie. By noon, national outlets ran the story, all agreeing this was wrong. The pressure hit a boiling point. That evening, Governor Sarah Mitchell held a press conference, her voice steady but fierce. This isn't bureaucracy, it's a moral failure. If a war hero can lose his home over a clerical error, we've failed. An emergency hearing is set for 9 a.m. tomorrow. The state listened. By dawn, Pine Grove's quiet sidewalks were packed. Hundreds gathered, veterans in uniform, parents with strollers, students with posters. They stood silent at first, their presence louder than chants. A former soldier with a megaphone broke the quiet. Walter fought for us. Now we fight for him. This is about right and wrong. Applause rolled through, steady, certain. Reporters swarmed. Drones captured the crowd. Inside the HOA office, Kessler called the protest. Emotional noise. But cracks formed. 2 board members quit, one telling a reporter, "We weren't told everything. I can't support this." By midday, 4 more resigned, one publicly calling Walter's Evicted a moral failure. At 2:17 p.m., the governor's office halted the foreclosure auction, reinstating Walter's ownership. The crowd didn't cheer wildly, there were tears, salutes, and a sunflower left at the HOA wall. Walter, still at the shelter, didn't yet know his fight was no longer his alone. 7 days later, Walter came home. Guided by 2 Marines and Governor Mitchell, he walked slowly, each step deliberate. The crowd, neighbors, strangers, veterans, parted quietly. No speeches, just soft applause and misted eyes. Volunteers had restored his home, broken frames fixed, his bronze star back above the fireplace. Walter paused at the doorway, eyes sweeping the familiar room. "I've seen men fall and never come home," he said softly. "Today I do, because people stood up." The silence that followed spoke louder than words. He sat in his old chair, hand on the armrest, gazing at the bronze star catching the light. For the first time in days, he exhaled peace. Justice built slowly. An audit uncovered Kessler's scheme. 11 foreclosures in 4 years, homes sold to his allies. Prosecutors charged him with fraud and abuse of trust. Lawsuits followed from silenced residents. The Florida Senate passed the Thompson Act in 14 days, mandating judicial oversight for HOA foreclosures, elder protections, and a 90-day grace period. Other states followed, sparking a national reckoning on housing systems. Walter, from his porch, declined honors, including a governor's offer to join the Veterans Affairs Council. "I've done my duty," he said. "Now it's your turn." His story became more than news. Schools taught it in CIVYCS, PBS aired a documentary, and neighbors nationwide checked on elderly residents. Walter received thousands of letters, one from a 10-year-old named Ethan. "I want to be brave like you." He kept it by his bronze star, next to Anna's photo. On a quiet Sunday, Rachel Harper VY cited, no camera, just a notebook. "What do you hope people remember?" she asked. Walter looked across the neighborhood. "This wasn't about me. It was about not letting systems forget the people they're meant to protect." He paused. "Maybe now they won't." As she left, Walter sat on his porch, coffee in hand, the flag above him stirring. The sun warmed the bricks, and for a moment the world felt right, a full circle, earned not by war, but by the courage of those who refused to let one man's dignity be reduced to due law. 312.